Hey guys, this is the release video for the latest release. This is the April 2022 release. We're continuing to build out Waterdeep. We've introduced two new districts for the city system. Districts 2, which is primarily the docks and also some new sewer systems, and then District 3, which are temples. And there's going to be new assets in both of those and new assets in the towns module, which is really a dependency for any of these city modules that we're using. You will want towns installed because they'll be borrowing assets from towns to do a lot of the sort of infrastructure building. But yeah, let's jump into this release. So this release introduces the new tower temple. I was looking for something that functioned like a temple, but was laid out vertically. Things inside of Waterdeep and other campaigns kind of call for spaces like this. So this is 9 stories, currently in 3 themes. This is a, like I said, vertical layout with different levels ranging from Great Hall to dorms, workshops, and then they're capped by a themed room. The Tower Temple features a dynamic circular staircase in the center that runs the entire height of the tower. And when activated by a GM by right-clicking the stair toggles between a closed state that's flush with the floor to an open state with activated elevation changing tiles. So this lets the GM control movement by that staircase and also gets it out of the way if you want more space at that level. I imagine something like a head cleric of the temple might have a magic rod that activates or deactivates the stair. So like I said, the tower temple comes in 3 themes. The clockwork theme is meant to serve as for something in like a Waterdeep campaign, for example. It features these animated gears gears under the floor, and it's got an observatory at the top. There's also a holy themed, it's primarily marble, and then a nature theme that features tree canopies throughout and the sort of this bark skin around it with the actual gate room at the top instead of an observatory. So let's walk through the levels. First one's the Great Hall, features a stage and stairs going up to the kitchens and pantries on level 2. Here you'll find a lot of places to stow NPCs, and items to find and explore. Level 3 is the library. It's only accessible by the central staircase. Imagine using the discovery zones prefab that I created to place books all around this level that could be discovered. At level 4 are classrooms of different varieties and staircases accessing upper and lower levels. Level 5 houses the dorms. They radiate off the middle here from the central landing. Level 6, there's various workshops where I left tables and workspaces for you to put various weapons, potions, devices, other interactable items on top of these things. Just use something like Molinet to drag and drop in Forgotten Adventures or Tom Kartos tiles to create some cool interactive items in these rooms. And then use Monk's active tiles if you really want to make them interactive. Level 7 is the chapel. It's meant to be an open space, maybe for an encounter or a battle if you're looking to do an encounter here. Level 8 is the head cleric's quarters and office. It features a big balcony that provides views of the whole tower. The central stair is the only way to get up to level 9. And level 9 is either an observatory or a gate room, depending on the tower you're working with. If you're using the nature version, it's the gate room. The telescope itself is a prefab. So with this little symbol in the middle, it's actually an act or a control token, and it serves to rotate the telescope around the room. So I'll let you guys play with that. And it even rotates the roof on top. So the roof will follow the orientation of the telescope as you rotate it around. The towers themselves are available as prefabs, which can be dropped into any background or scene. You can find them in the BW Modular City District 3 Temples Actor Compendium. And yeah, I've been testing it for performance. It works pretty well just because it's a vertical tower with a relatively small levels. But let me know if you guys, as you're playing with it, if you want different types of optimized versions. Also in this release is the Trinkets shop. This is going to be something like Zoblob's shop if you're doing Waterdeep. There's a beholder in the middle, or really any campaign where you want some kind of interesting shop like this that serves for a few purposes, like finding interesting items and exploring for your players. There's a teleporter in the Level 2, that can be an egress or ingress to or from a dungeon, and then maybe even have encounters on level 2. And the shop itself actually comes in 2 themes, right? There's a purple sort of beholder version, and then there's a more generic, just green version of it, depending on which one fits better into your narrative. And you can actually control which theme is displayed by using the active tiles levers over to the right here to change from one theme to the other. I will point out the roof of the shop is also responsive to the roof macros that I introduced in the last release. And you can also change, the texture, colors, that sort of thing. Change it to a snowy version if you want to. And then the roof garden can be right-clicked and changed to a snowy version manually using multi-face tiles, or you can use just the tile picker to change it as well if you want to change this whole thing to a snowy theme. So level 1 is your shop itself. And there's a lot of items embedded in here that correspond to the trinkets list if you're playing D&D. In case you want to put some discoverable items around this room. There's level 2 is a large portal with ingress points. It could be an ingress point to a dungeon or other locations. It's got some rooms off to the side, and there's some hidden rooms too. They're behind hidden doors, in case you want to use this for hiding, people or goods or things like that. And then the shopkeeper's apartment is on level 3. It's got more secret rooms and secret doors, including a secret door to access the roof garden. And the trinket shop is available as a prefab in the BW City District 2 prefabs compendium. That's the sewer district. The docks district that also has sewers. In this scene, you also see the park edge tile. This is just to give you the ability to segue a scene into a park or a grass scene. If you click into it, you can see the path and where it takes you. There's some other assets that work well with that tile. And then this scene and this release also includes some other assets for assembling cities on the fly. So first, starting with a clean, muddy or snowy street background gives a good sort of randomized starting point. And then layering on the new street tiles, which are feathered at the ends and they interconnect in a seamless way. They can come in clean and snowy versions. One trick you can do is to resize them using if you have a straight tile and you want to fit it into a space, you can actually resize it by making it a little bit longer or shorter on its longest side. There's some extra tiles with the streets for adding things like sewer grates, manholes, rubble, walls, things that would go into your street to help you, dress it up and then to be able to go from your street to something else like a sewer. The other new assets are these city pads. They're just flexible tiles. It can be resized and rotated. They can just stand on their own and just be an interesting place to do a combat encounter, or they can go under facades of buildings. They're just a super efficient way to create quickly just a varied terrain for your city scenes and just interesting tactical elements without having to place a lot of assets and a lot of clutter individually. So just place them in a way that makes sense as background tiles, and feel free to hide the staircases and clutter under roofs and buildings and rotate them, resize them, and you'll be good to go. And just to show you what's possible, so there's a scene in Waterdeep called Candle Alley, right? It features just a dark alley that ends in a single lamp. It's lit by an enchanted fire, and this scene here was built with modular pieces from all the different sets, including some of the tower set, and it ends in this little cul-de-sac with an interactive manhole. So a player can double click it to remove the cover, they hear a sound, and then they can walk into it and teleport somewhere else. You have to code it to where you want it to teleport. It just teleports them within scene just as a placeholder, but that's that piece as well.
Also in the City District number 2, Docks and Sewers, is the new modular sewer system. This is a redesign and reimagining of the original modular sewer system that can be found in the Towns module. We have large tiles for creating channels, and we also have all of these prefabricated rooms that include walls, artwork, lighting, and sounds, all pre-deployable for you. And we have a variety of tiles that, although not configured as prefabs, are available for you to use within the City District 02 Docs module folder under the Tiles section. There are also deployable tactical elements such as pillars and arches to add three-dimensionality and visual interest to your different maps. We'll see how all of these play out in some example scenes shortly. Another key feature that we've added to the modular sewers now is Dungeon Draw. If you'd seen the Magic Dungeon video, you know that Dungeon Draw is a very powerful tool, and here we've added in custom themes for Dungeon Draw, and they pair especially well with these channels. I can draw in a new dungeon and use my theme painter to edit it and change it into something that fits better with the channel. Here I have now added water, which is perfect for creating a sewage system there. I can also change my theme painter over to difficult and use the difficult terrain style theme that we have established in case we wanted this to be a dry area of the sewer that's glutted with debris and trash. There's a variety of themes included. We have the green by default, our stairs, the difficult terrain, another variant on stairs. All of them will be rotatable. And then we also have the water with and without walls. Note that if you use a theme painter, the walls are going to be there no matter what. Now let's dive into the sewers themselves. Here we are traversing the very first sewer, and that is the sewer camp. Within the camp, there is a wide variety of trash and debris, and there is a little more verticality here with different elevation zones. And you can hear us trudge through the water as we make our way through the sewer system and over the canal. Climbing up the steps, we come across an encampment. Maybe these are ne'er-do-wells hiding out in the sewer, or maybe they're just down on the luck folk that have taken refuge here. This is a particularly dirty section of the sewers, and if we hop across the channel again, we'll see another elevated zone that is filled with more trash piles to explore or sift through at your player's whims. As we head back over, we will find there are some teleportation zones that will take us to other areas of the sewer. These are powered using Monk's active tile triggers, and you'll see that there is a notification that we've teleported. As a player, this would automatically shift your view over to this scene, which is the hideout, but for a GM, you'll have to manually go there. Making your way through the hideout, there are significantly more boxes and less trash, and you can poke through modifications in the walls that have been turned into arrow loops, potentially for guards guarding the hideout that we mentioned earlier. Again, there are still arches, adding some visual interest and indicating the support for these rather large subterranean tunnels. Making our way through a suspicious rusty door, we find a barracks that has a variety of weapons and sleeping quarters for the gang or guild that's hiding out here. We can then make our way through a tunnel that goes over the earlier section of the sewers, and down some winding passageways find some sleeping quarters that have been improvised in these chambers within the sewers. There's also a rather smelly cesspit that maybe this group is using as a latrine, and we can peek our head in on the guards here that were playing a little game with a knife here, and visit their dining quarters. Trotting down this final passageway, there is a secret door that leads to some poor soul's basement, and maybe this is how you want your players to actually get down here, rather than traversing another section of the sewers. The choice is yours. Making our way into another hidden tunnel that is up above the rest of the sewers proper, we make our way over to the guild hideout proper, with a large antechamber that has some prisoner cells here that may or may not be occupied, depending upon your needs. Then we have a crackling magical brazier and ominous-looking throne for some villain to perch on and monologue to the players. And we'll find a kind of hub area with a nice antechamber and a kitchenette, meeting space, and plenty of storage in various states of good repair. And of course, the leader of this group has got to have the nicest bedroom for themselves. A final passageway leads us to the other guard quarters, where we can see they were hard at work playing a game of cards, and this secret door is significantly easier to spot from the other side. Making our way down to the south end of these tunnels, we can then use another teleport zone to come down to our final sewer area, and it's much brighter here, and we will notice that as we approach, we start to hear the sound of water falling and sea outside, and indeed this is where the sewers converge and empty out into the ocean. There are drains here that have intact pipes that are impassable, but other ones that can be jumped right through and swam out of. So potentially an escape route for your players or another way to approach the hideout. We can trudge through the water here and have those Monk's active Tau triggers firing, powering those intermittent water waiting sounds. Making our way past some more trash and storage, we find another elevated area that leads up to another section of the sewer. And if we follow that, we will actually find ourselves back in the camp area, but on the south side coming through another tunnel, probably after a little extra trudging. And here we can come down to another small campsite that is within the same section of the sewers. Rounding the corner, we arrive back at our original destination. So walking through these scenes from a GM's perspective first, we have the sewer camp, and these are using some of the prefabs, adding in these campsites and the additional lighting. And you can also see the water in action here, where we used Dungeon Draw to help connect and fill in our rooms more. So just another reason why that tool is very powerful for constructing our scenes. We have the verticality here and there, and we can have our players enter from either of these other entrances or go through to the seaside or hideout areas of the sewer. And we'll see the hidden Monk's Active Tau triggers tokens that are used to power those water steps, as we mentioned earlier. And although they are very faintly visible for you as a GM, they will not be visible to your players. And you can copy those to add your own water walking sound effects. Also notice that we have lighting here, and if we make it darker, rather than having this daylight, we're going to have some splotchy moonlight kind of filtering in through the drains and the access covers down into the sewers. And this is going to be active from about 60% darkness to full darkness for the moonlight. And you will also notice that these correspond roughly to the other drains and the centers of these cisterns. So there is some logic there. If you want to keep the same moody lighting that we had earlier, you'll want to have 0.4 scene darkness here. Switching down to the seaside section of the sewers, we can see that we could easily connect this into a wharf with the rest of the docks. And we can decorate that in further, and we can also swim directly from these docks into that drain we mentioned earlier, giving players another option of egress if they're trying to flee the sewers, or another way to infiltrate the sewers if that is their aim. And we have a variety of different drain types, and these are also included within the module as tiles that you can use. And this just adds a little bit of variety. We have ones that have intact pipes and ones that have damaged pipes. There's also a no pipe variant if you want to have a large drain like that. Turning to our final section of sewers, we have the hideout. This is easily the most complex section, and we have a pretty simple junction in terms of the main waterways, but then it gets complicated with all of the extra pieces connecting the different rooms. We have our arches to demonstrate some much needed stability for these rather cavernous sewers, and we have those prefabbed rooms dropped into place and then connected using the dungeon draft themes, specifically the green theme or the base theme here. And again, we can see how everything kind of winds through with this secret tunnel that goes up and above the main sewer channels, and then we can wind our way through those different rooms. There's a lot of different opportunities here to have a variety of encounters. Maybe this is all one group's big hideout, or maybe this is actually a collection of different people being in close proximity to each other, and maybe that piece is tenuous at best. It is completely up to you. But there is a lot of interesting ways to navigate this area. which is a just testament to how much levels can really make things interesting. And it's a tool that we didn't have available when we made the first modular sewer system. And so this was a great opportunity to take advantage of dungeon draw and levels to make a much more interesting sewer system. We'll definitely be expanding this more as we go, so let us know if there are additional features you'd like to see in the modular sewers.
So hopefully you guys enjoy the new release, and let us know in the comments or on my Patreon if there's enhancements to it, if you spot any bugs. There's a lot of moving parts with some of these things, and let us know on my Discord what you'd like to see us build next. In the meantime, have fun making your maps.